Come on, move Kenzie. Oh, I can see from now.
On time.
I can see.
Hello.
I can see from here. I don't have nothing.
Other guy.
You rebuke it.
How's everybody doing? How's your
Hi,
day
hi.
been?
Hi guys, hi Yolanda. Hi. Oh, I can't see you guys. But welcome.
Welcome. Oh, Mela is joining us for the first time.
Welcome.
Wow, welcome.
I actually can't see from here.
Sorry.
Sorry guys, we're gonna be looking down because we can't
Really see.
see. Our setup is
See the comments.
our setup
Yes.
is a bit interesting. You
Yeah,
put the
yes.
music.
I can't take it on
Oh.
Instagram.
Oh.
Yes. So unfortunately, the DJ is to end
DJ.
here. Hey, welcome, Langa.
Welcome.
Yes.
Oh, welcome.
Yolanda brought the squad. Welcome, everybody. It is good to have you. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome to Raw and Honest Sessions. Here we talk about raw and honest things.
Opinion.
Yes, and this is just something, conversational. Get involved with the topic. It is an extension of our podcast. So, yes, good to have you. Hey, Langa! I'm so excited that you guys are here.
Yeah.
Yes. Auntie Millie?
Right. We have to put a disclaimer on this one because
It's sensitive.
it's a very sensitive topic. So, whilst we express our views and our opinions, it is not a reflection on the entire other spectrum population.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Also, yeah, so we need to put that disclaimer. It's not a hate speech. We're not saying we hate nobody. We're not advocating for that.
Yeah.
We are just wanting to sit down and have an honest conversation, open conversation, to really engage about these topics because I think they're really important. And I think especially as Christians that we should be able to be the ones leading these types of conversations, and the world shouldn't be the one leading it and then we follow behind.
That's definitely true.
And so that is definitely the purpose of why we are doing this session. So
Yeah.
it should be very interesting.
It should be interesting, and we are excited to have Yo-Yo on the program. Yes, so that's going to be interesting to hear her view, her perspective, because I know that she's, she's got opinions about this subject matter.
Yeah.
So it's going to be quite an interesting one. Yes, Sis Kenzie,
Yes.
we are looking forward to it. And Sis Kenzie, actually, I would love to get you on maybe after Yolanda is finished, because I know me and you are always having these conversations and stuff, talking about our experiences, especially here in Australia. So it would be good. Facts only. So how's everybody doing? Are you guys good? What time is it where you are joining us from? It is currently 6:30 in Perth. And it is currently 9:30 over east.
Is it 9:30? 3 hours.
9:30 p.m. Yes,
Oh,
over
nice.
east, so in the eastern states of Australia, 10:30. Oh my God, Elisha is here.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome.
My brother is here. Yay.
Ooh.
Yes, so it is currently about 10:30 a.m. in the UK. So definitely, like, thank you for joining us. We had to like change the time
Yeah.
to accommodate the people. Mostly the people over east because
Yeah.
you know the time. I think we were starting at like 11:30. Half 11,
No.
half 10, half 10 like Sydney Melbourne time. So it really wasn't working for everybody. Ooh, Langa is in Amsterdam.
Wow.
Wow, yes, we definitely want to go to Amsterdam.
Sure,
You know what I
we're
mean?
As soon as the cocos stopped being the cocos.
Yes. Ooh, and
Awesome.
Tender is in Brussels.
Wow.
Yay, that's so good. So yes, Antonelli,
Should we start?
I think we should get into
Are you all ready?
the discussion.
Maybe this a bit of introduction to the people that don't know us.
Oh, yes, if you don't know us, yes. If you do not know me, my name is Lavender. I am a fine baby girl who is 25.
Oh,
Are you stealing my?
I'm a fine baby girl who's 25 and
Wow.
yes, currently out here living life in Perth, Australia.
Come on now.
Come on.
I am Millie, also 25. I'm a fine baby girl.
Yes, original fine baby
Original.
girl.
Original OG. Also obviously I live in Perth, but from Zimbabwe.
Yes,
Yeah.
Hi guys, and I'm B.
tell them your full name.
Oh my gosh. I almost spoke in my language. My name is Boto in full, but because some people cannot pronounce that, so B.
BU.
B for sure. B from
B.
Botswana.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm from Botswana, like Lavender said, and I'm the oldest out of the kids.
Wow.
The kids. Today we've become the kids.
Wow.
Wow.
Who acts like
Wow,
Who
yeah.
acts like a kid?
You all need somebody who's not acting that age, though. So.
Awesome. So let's get into it.
Yes.
Anybody want to give me a definition for what is racism?
Okay, we'll ask the Google. We always refer
Let
to
the
Google
Google,
because
yeah.
we never want to say
Yeah.
anything wrong. So according to Google, racism is prejudice, discrimination, antagonism by any individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized.
That's a pretty accurate definition of racism.
Yes. Like what marginalized or minority groups do we know? Obviously, yeah, like we talking about like the black community, but
Because we're
yeah, like you know.
welcome,
Hi,
Hannah.
Hannah. You know, there's like obviously the Asian community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
The Jewish.
yes, the Jewish community. In Australia, the Aboriginal community, and like that's like a touchy subject here. Like I don't know. I don't know other groups.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I think like they'll be like hugely like when it's like ethnic groups, it's more like like tribes and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So that is definitely like the definition of racism. Have you girls experienced racism?
Yeah. I have experienced.
What happened what happened?
It was like people like. I think people, because they're now careful of like what they say, so it's slightly like. Okay, with my experience. Subtle, yes.
Yeah.
With my experience, it was more subtle. So I don't know how we reached this point where everybody was like comparing skin color and stuff. So, and then all of a sudden it was like, ooh, she darker than everybody else. and stuff.
And you were with the white people?
Yes, and I was with the white people, so I was like, oh, okay. But the way she said it, though, it wasn't, for me, I had to say, yo, that's not it, girl, like.
And what was the context of the conversation? Like, where were you guys? Like, what was, like, the setting?
Just chilling out, hanging out, getting to, like, catch up and stuff, see how everybody was doing, having a conversation.
Yeah.
With,
and are these, like, close group of friends? Because sometimes I tend to find, like, you know, when you have, like, close group of friends and, like, you know, they're, like, of different races, you can be quite comfortable, like, talking about race, even, like, joking about, like, stereotypes and things like that.
Yeah.
But, like, were these people that you're like,
no,
I'm in?
No, I'm not in.
So
I've never been in.
There's no with
That's quite interesting. Welcome
Esther.
And Esther, our resident. Welcome, guys. If you are joining us, we have just started the discussion and we are just talking about our experiences with racism. So, Millie.
I want to be very sensitive with how I approach this question.
Okay.
Like B said, I don't think I've experienced where someone has like said something like very blatantly. But I think for me, in my experience, it's been like the subtle undertone of maybe the way someone says something, the way someone might question what you're doing.
Yeah.
And where you know it's like, so for example, I think the most one that frustrates me is when you go into a store.
Shopping while black, y'all.
Shopping while black is a struggle because, you know, it's like they want to like pretend like they want to help you. But you know it's not like they want to
just checking.
And like, you know, for me, that experience, like even up until now, it still affects me. Like, you know, when you go into a store and then you walk out without purchasing anything, like, don't you feel like, wow, maybe they think that I stole something?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
All the time.
I literally bought something today because I didn't want them to think like I've taken something because I just walked in and then I didn't, because I didn't find what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I literally ended up like buying mayonnaise. I bought mayonnaise at Sponge today. It's actually not. It's actually crazy because I was like, I can't walk out without anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, but like it's just subconscious.
It's subconscious.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I wonder where this came from. Like you just, So that was like something that still like affects me. But I think racism in the church. And this is why I said I want to be very careful because
come on now.
It is not to say maybe that the person's intentions were necessarily racist, but how I interpreted it was like, okay, you kind of treated me a little different compared to someone else who asked you something that was a bit similar, or somebody would just sort of brush you off or something like that. And for me personally, like, I'll leave it there for now.
We'll leave it there for now.
Yeah. What about you?
I think that it's been quite interesting living in like two countries really.
Yeah.
Where growing up, racism was mad. But also at the same time it was like at school people would be like making jokes, right? So it's like, do I get offended?
Yeah.
Do I not? And in the UK, we were very comfortable talking about race. I think Yolanda will come on and like, you know, talk more about, you know, the UK experience. And it's like, UK racism for me, I found it like growing up, it was like, it whispers.
Oh, yeah.
And then I came to Australia and it was more like overt and it screamed.
Ooh.
And
let me tell you something, okay?
And I was like, ooh. I remember like one lady not even wanting me to like serve her, not wanting me to like touch her things.
Wow.
And like I remember like my manager literally being like, oh, okay, like I'll do it and stuff like that. And then her coming to me and was like, oh, she probably didn't want you to like, you know. bother yourself because you looked busy. I'm like, no,
No,
I ain't that
girl,
busy. I ain't that
busy.
busy. Like, so it's quite interesting, and I found that in Australia, it's like a lot of ignorance.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm like, should I be mad, or is it that you're just stupid and you have like lack of exposure? But then sometimes I'm like, nah, people are woke now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Everybody has like different I guess experiences. Welcome. Oh, my little sister Tanya is here.
Hey, Tanya.
Sister Hooked and Tari DZ. Welcome. So I think this might be like a good time to bring Yolanda on.
Yeah.
Our guest for tonight. So Yolanda, just press the, I don't know.
Request.
Request and
Sis B, do you want it?
we can
Accept.
we can add you. So
She sent.
Kenta says nah, there actually isn't that many people that are woke here, hey.
Do you think so?
But it's actually kind of true, to be honest.
But my thing, I feel like they have enough exposure.
To be honest, I find like, for example, the white people here, they'll have like the odd one black friend, but that one black friend doesn't really teach them anything. Maybe it's like I'm outnumbered or whatever, but like...
And then no offense by saying this, but I have found that usually...
Come on now.
Sorry, people. I'm really trying to...
Come on, it's a honest session.
No, I found
it's a raw and honest session.
Yeah, for me,
I found that when it is the group, like for me, I'm African, right?
Yeah.
That black friend tends to not act black.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Hi guys.
Oh, we can't hear you.
You can't?
Oh, yay. Yay.
Hi guys.
Welcome, Yolanda. Welcome. We are so excited to have you. Sis Kenzie says, yeah, too many people are ignorant and barely even know what's going on in this country.
Yeah.
True.
Yes.
I agree with you, Ken.
So let's do some formal introductions.
Yes.
This is Yolanda.
Hi, guys.
My sister.
Ooh.
Yay! Ooh! Gang, gang, gang. Yes, good to have you on Raw and Honest. I swear, like, my parents are like so excited. They're like,
So
excited.
They're so excited. Hi guys.
Hi.
everyone. Miss you.
Turn up the volume.
Yeah.
Because it's like really hard to hear you. But this is Yolanda, and I will let you introduce yourself. Like, who are you? What are you about? And like, where are you, sis?
That's so difficult. I'm Yolanda Lance. I'm in the UK.
Yes.
About me, there's not really much to say, but I'm just a cool babe, you know, good vibes. All of that.
I thought I would give you an opportunity to reference your CV. You know what I mean?
I can't go that far. Can't go that far.
Yes. But good to have you. Good to have you. So yes, Yolanda, have you personally encountered racism?
Like you guys were saying, like what Sis B was saying, how she feels racism is very, I guess, covert.
Yeah.
That's kind of the racism I've experienced in the UK a lot growing up. But there have been like instances where I felt like the racism was in my face and I couldn't even escape it.
Wow.
Just in the area that I've grown up in, there is a lot of racism, and just being able to grow up and like, I guess, adapt to how the area is changing has made me realize how racist it was before and how things are getting, I guess, a little bit better. I know like when I was still in school, there was a lot of, I guess, ignorance and blatant racism. I mean, a lot of people that I went to school with would definitely know that some of the girls that weren't black would say things to us that were kind of off. But obviously in school, like you guys were saying, things are very, I guess, covered up in like, I don't know, jokes and stuff. So you don't think it's offensive, but then when you reflect, you really think, wow, that was wild, and you can't say something like that to someone. So I did experience like some racism in school. It wasn't direct, but it would be like little comments. Like there was one thing that triggered me a lot, like back in school, of like this girl whispering about like some of my facial features or my hair to someone, and like saying, oh, like, why is it like that? Why is her nose so big? Oh, look at your hair. You know, things like that, which were very like off to me. But then I didn't have the confidence to like say anything back and be like, dude, you can't, that's just how my features are. I'm very different to you, but I am the same, essentially. But I think growing up, I've experienced racism in like different forms. I remember working as a care assistant, and I was shadowing this woman. She was white, and we went to visit a client, and the client literally said, I don't want that black girl like doing anything for me. Please don't touch me. And she said to the white lady, like, I want you to do everything. Wow. So that was like strange. I mean, this is like my first week of work. I'm not trying to like go through this, and it really opened my eyes like, wow, some people really just do not like me just because of the color of my skin, which is something that's very hard to swallow, you know? But yeah, I mean, racism comes in different elements. It's very hard to, I guess, see the difference between ignorance and racism because there's like a very thin line, but it is distinguishable in like some instances.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, when you talk about the care thing, I think it's, you know, especially in care, you tend to find like a lot of older people, and then from that like older generation where they were like not exposed, where it was like colonialism and whatnot, and we were like they were like superior to us or whatever. But it's like still though, I mean,
and you know, when you think about slavery actually being what's this word in English? Admonished. It wasn't actually that long ago. It was less than 100 years ago. So not a lot of like things have changed enough that it's no longer in a generation. Like we still have the generation that had slaves. And then that generation probably took their children, and then their children, then their children. So I think that's the tricky part with that as well.
That's very true.
Even with like, you know, recently with like the Black Lives Matter movement, and we were seeing like how people were campaigning to get like statues of like slave masters torn down. So it's like, why do we still have things like that? Why do you put people like that around if the climate of the country has changed? Especially in countries like America and the UK, where it's like we're diverse now. But like yet we still have like statues of these people in even like central London, you know what I mean? Where it's like a lot of people from all over the world come there. And they see this. This is what we are advertising. This is what London is about. So it's
I think what's wild is the amount of people that were very against these statues being taken down. Like they really do have that kind of ownership or like sense of pride of their history. Which is so strange. Like how can you be proud of a person that oppressed others so much that you will literally go to extreme lengths to exercise your energy to like the fullest and say, no, I don't want you taking down this statue, petition, try to get things like argued in Parliament just so a statue stays because you think this is core to British history. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's true. But what about institutional racism, guys?
Well, I think there's a lot of institutional racism. School. So much racism in school. I mean, there's the curriculum, number one, and also the people that are teaching us in these institutions. like throughout my time in university, I never had a lecturer that looked like me or a seminar leader that looked like me at all.
Yeah.
Which says a lot, like just considering the nature of the place that I live in is very diverse. But why are there no like black lecturers teaching me like at all in 3 years? It's just very strange. But even in school, I mean, a lot of my teachers would say things that were off. I remember I had a teacher who would confuse me and this one girl all the time. And
Girl,
us, which didn't make sense because me and the girl, our timetables did not even like overlap at all. She had like a completely different timetable to me. And she would always call me her name every single week. And I'd always say, nope, we're not sisters. We're not twins. We're not the same person. But still, over and over again, she would say, oh, you have the same hair. No, we do not. We don't have the same hairstyle. Why are you calling me her name? You know? And I feel like teachers just do that all the time. Even like refusing to say my surname when they're going through the register. Or that whole thing of, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. Why do you need to say something like that? Because it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
How come you can say like other people's names if they're European, but if you see like an African surname, you literally refuse, or you have to say a statement beforehand before you say the name? It just doesn't make sense to me. What else? Oh, in the workplace as well, there's a lot of racism there. Obviously, that's like a sensitive area or something that we don't really want to talk about, but definitely racism in the workplace is like real, especially for Black women. Obviously that's like a space where we go into already feeling like apprehensive, because we don't think that people are going to want us there, number one. And there's also that whole thing about our hair. We all already feel uncomfortable about switching up our hairstyles. Like, there's like, I go to interviews and I have to literally like plan the day before, what hairstyle am I going to have? And if I have a second interview, can I still have this hairstyle? Or
I need to
what? Exactly, because the questions that come after it are crazy, and you'd expect people to, I guess, have a lot of experience dealing with Black women or speaking with them, that they would just expect my hair to be different all the time, because that's just how we roll, you know?
No, you know the other one that you just said, that was the one that was interesting for me? Every time I speak to certain people, and they'll say this, oh, so how long have you been in Australia? Oh, 4 years. Wow, your English is really good.
Exactly.
Like, what did you say?
It's a language.
It's the strangest thing. It's the strangest thing. Like, I remember back in school, even the students would say stuff like that to me. I'd be like, oh yeah, I moved here when I was 5. Oh, your English is good. Yes, because I came here as a kid. A child. I wasn't a grown up where my accent is going to stick, or I'm not going to be able to learn the language like that. I was still a kid, but just because I am Black and I am from Africa, they expect me not to be able to speak English, which is very off. I don't know.
It's actually so crazy. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, and it's so funny because I remember those one time one lecturer asked me like, oh, the same way, like, your English is good. And I was with this other Chinese girl, and she's fluent in English, and then I was like, why are you not asking her if her English is good? You know, like those type of things, like, or like pronouncing my name wrong and calling me boho. I'm not, or boohoo or something, but I'm not that, you know. Take time to learn my name. As much as I take time to learn your name, take time also to like learn my name and pronounce it. Like, I was telling people, like, sometimes you get tired of like telling people like learn your name, because every time, like you said, it's like, I don't want to pronounce your name incorrectly and stuff. But the fact that it's the first time you're meeting me and you don't even give it a try, and you're like, nah, I'll just stick to B. So the reason why I go with B is because I was like, I'm tired of always telling people like, you know, call me this, and they're like, no, I think that's hard for me and stuff like that, so I'll just call you B.
Yeah, that's very off. I mean, I personally understand that my surname is hard to pronounce, but it's like, if you ask me how do I pronounce it, I'll be okay with that. But if you say, oh, your surname is very long, I'm not gonna even bother. That is very off, and I've heard that way too many times in my life, and I just don't understand why it's like okay to say something like that, you know?
I'm with you.
There was this one time I was on a work spreadsheet and it had everyone's name on there, and then my name was at the bottom. Everyone had their first name, surname, and then I'm the only one who did not have my surname written in. Obviously this is on like Excel. It's a simple copy paste job. You can literally just do that, but I think just because they already knew Yolanda's name is so long, they didn't want to bother to like put my surname in the document, which is so wild. I don't know.
That's all it's actually crazy how, like, you know, even when it comes to like applying for jobs, sometimes you don't get the job because you are Black.
No, they just look at the names.
Like sometimes they just look at your name and they just assume that, you know, you're not fit for the job, you're not qualified, or like in the workplace. Like I remember this manager at work literally confusing me with like this mixed race guy, the only other Black person that was working at the spot, and now I'm like the only Black person. But yeah, I remember her calling me by his name, and I was looking at her like, excuse you? First of all, it's a whole other dude. And my hair was not short like this, so it's not like you can be like, oh yeah, I thought like because your hair was short. I was like, excuse you, lady, like what are you doing? Or like the other week where we had to spend like a whole long time like just discussing my hair because I'm like changing my hair like every time.
You know the one where you change your hairstyle and they look like, oh, I didn't recognize you. I'm like, I'm literally
like, oh, your hair has grown. Did you? I'm like, I'm wearing a wig.
Like they don't even recognize. I'm like, the only thing I did was take off braids and put on a wig. Like
exactly.
That one is, I don't know.
Well, like the other time when I changed up my hair, and then the pastor at church went to greet him, and he started addressing me by all the other Black girls' names, and I was like, no, that's not me.
Nope.
And I had like worked with him closely. That's the thing. And then he was like, oh, and then he was like, wait, I'm so sorry. Like, who?
The dawn was crazy.
Who are you? And then I'm like, he's like, oh, Lavender. I was about to congratulate him for having a baby. I was like, nah.
Bye.
Because nah, you ain't gonna do me like that. Like, that's actually crazy. Considering the fact that when I was working with him, we had spoken about how much the Black people in the church were feeling that there was like a whole divide. And then he proceeded to just, I feel, in my own personal opinion, I don't care, that he made it worse. And yet I had specifically told you, like, yo, the young people in this church, this is how they're feeling. I was trying to be an advocate. And then I felt like proceeded to not even make any changes or like much of an effort. So I was like, nah, whatever.
You guys a question. Have you ever like changed your name or like taken out your surname when applying to things just because you already feel like you're probably not going to get it?
Yes, I used to, though my English name wasn't registered. So I used to use my English name as a way of like, because it was hard. Because obviously when you come here, they're like, oh, we want Australian experience and whatever. And obviously I was like, done, when you've been sitting there for 8 months and you're not getting any job. And I was like, let me see if this thing is true. Because people are suggesting it to me like, no, maybe try using your English name if you have it and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, let me use my English name and that. And like 2 weeks down the line, I get called for the interview. And then I told them, no, I prefer to be called by my name. So
that's actually crazy. It's actually crazy. Like, you know, like Nia Cerise, who just graduated from Cambridge, and she spoke about this whole thing about how, like,
Yeah.
you know, like Cambridge still doesn't really have like black people, like, and how she was actually getting abused racially by a lecturer.
Wow.
And he was just like, yeah, report me. And then what? And it's actually crazy. And then she went on to write about some of her experience in her thesis.
Wow.
And she got like one of the highest scores they've ever given out. And I was just like, you know what? This is actually amazing. And she literally got like the conversation going. And, you know, she talked about race, she talked about God, literally did a prayer in her thesis, which was like so amazing. So I think that there's definitely room for people to learn more. But we still have a long way to go. So Yo-Yo, what are some of the things that you feel like, you know, people could do? How can we best tackle this issue in our society?
I mean, there's always that talk about having a conversation and educating people, but I feel like I'm exhausted of educating and always trying to explain to someone that doesn't understand. I generally just expect people to get it now because it is 2020. It's like people are always saying, oh, but some people grow up in a bubble, they don't really understand, they probably never met a black person, which is just ridiculous because they have.
All the time.
Yeah, they've just chosen not to accept or understand. They've just been very ignorant with it. So I don't think speaking to people and educating them is the way forward.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm very happy for people to go on their own paths of understanding a lot more about race or like black history, rather than me, you know, exerting so much energy trying to explain when someone is just not open to hearing that. You know, exactly, Langa. Like, we're actually tired. 110%, we are tired.
Kenzie says conversations don't always work because someone will always get offended in today's world. And Langa says, yes, we are definitely tired. White people have to take responsibility for their own education. And Tendo says, and some people just don't want to learn, which is true. But wow.
And I think it's a good point that you brought up. Like, I feel like it actually has to be people have to be taught from like a younger age. Like from school, we need more black history in our education systems. Because all you're learning in history, like I remember when I did history, like back in high school, it was all white history.
Not about our own.
Not even. There's nothing about black history, and I think as even as black people, number one, we need to start lobbying for it. But number two is we ourselves also have to educate ourselves. Because the thing is, history does repeat itself, and we have to be like learners of history. Like, we were slaves. Like, when you think about that, and the mindset, there's this documentary on Netflix called The Journey of an African Colony. And when you watch that, like, you get so mad because you're like, what gave people the right to literally just come into a land? People are living their lives, minding their business, and you want to take. And that mindset is still there today. Right? It's a mindset. It's not just
it's a mindset. It's like China is like the new colonizer.
Exactly. Because now they're going into Africa, and now we're starting the whole process again. So I feel like as black people also, we need to get to a point where we also need to be woke. And we need to be learners of our own history and actually be like, okay, wait. Something ain't right here. And what are we going to do about it?
You know that saying where they say, like, if you want to hide something from a black man, hide it in a book. And it's like, oh, wow, that's true, you know. We actually need to learn, educate ourselves.
Absolutely.
So, but Yo-Yo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Your perspective has been like so good. Yes, and we definitely want to invite you on for like something else.
I mean, if you guys are gonna have a conversation about China and its involvement in Africa, I'm definitely down because I have so
yes, we really
much to say.
Yes. Like, yeah. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for giving us your time and giving up your morning to be with us tonight. Well, this morning. Yeah.
Oh, also, guys, there's a charity called the Black Curriculum who really like go into depth about Black history and try to push it being taught in schools. So you should check it out because they like really do like a lot of like posts about how there's so much history that we don't know. So yeah, if you're free, check out the Black Curriculum on Instagram. But yeah, that's it. I'm out. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, so ladies,
came with the facts.
Yes, came with the facts. Elisha says, "Whoa, I knew that there's racism that side, but I never thought that these people can go to such an extent of being evil." Wow. Yeah. I think like when you're like in Africa or like in Zimbabwe, it's different.
Yeah.
You know, because we're like the majority and the white people are like the minority, so it's a different kind of conversation. Though there is like a lot of racism in Africa, like like South Africa, like it's very, very like overt. So that's crazy. That's like a madness. But we touched a little bit about like racism in church. Like, do you guys want to add anything else about that? Sister?
It is visible in the church, like Lavender said, but I don't really have anything to add about it. Have I ever? Yes, I have faced racism within the church. I'm the same person always.
It's always the one.
There's always that one that says, like they'll try and say it in a sarcastic way, like it's just a joke, and yet they're like, no, it's not. Like, if you want to learn about me, get to know me, please, and ask questions. Like, I am English. I'm ready to have that conversation with you. Okay, just ask. It's okay. It's okay to say, yeah, I'm ignorant and I'm not well educated about Black history. Can I ask a couple of questions? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we have that.
But don't touch my head. If anybody is watching from my website, don't touch my head. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Just look,
but don't touch.
Okay, just.
That's why Solange made that song. Don't touch my
Look, but don't touch.
Yeah, but absolutely. And I think for me, like, it's actually crazy when you think that to actually say racism in the church is a whole oxymoron. Because literally the Bible says that He's the creator of all nations.
Yeah.
And it says, like, I think it's in Revelation, it says all nations will come and call Him like King or something. And it's like, we are literally, there's not going to be a race that's going to be like, you come into heaven. No, you stay because you're Black.
Yeah.
And if God is the creator, why would He have created Black people? Because He created the human race.
Yeah. Exactly.
So for me, I feel like, how can you call yourself a Christian?
Yeah.
Be in the church, profess Jesus Christ, profess the gospel of Jesus Christ, and yet not like Black people.
Yeah.
Or yet not like another race.
Because
sometimes it's not just Black people. Like, not like another race of people.
And yet we are made in the
image of God.
Yeah, that actually doesn't make sense. But like, I don't know. Like, did God create the world like this, or what? Because it's just evil that just like entered into the world. Rutenda says, true, I've experienced the worst racism in Africa than I have in Europe, which is like another subject that like we need to touch on. But back to this, like, even in the Bible, we see like Moses' siblings, like Miriam and Aaron. Basically, like, they were mad. They were mad because he had married a Cushite woman. And she was Black.
Yeah.
Zipporah was Black.
Yeah.
I'll be talking about her tomorrow on Esther in Process, by the way.
Shameless plug.
Yes. Zipporah was black and they were mad. She was like an Ethiopian woman and they were not having it.
The person that helped Jesus was black.
Yeah.
On the cross was black.
And it's like, come on now.
Was it the Queen of Sheba? She was black.
Queen of Sheba, y'all.
So like what?
But I don't understand this thing. Like, even in, like, Sorry. I was reading just yesterday that, like, Hillsong is opening, like, a branch in Atlanta. And, like, for the first time, they are having a black pastor. Wow. Like a black lead pastor.
For the first time.
For the first time.
And they've been there for
how long?
For how long, y'all? It's actually crazy.
There was actually a you guys should check out. It's called the Bana Group, and it's like it's a research group that basically studies like culture and like Christianity and stuff. Anyway, they did a recent study lately this year in 2020. Mm-hmm. I think they were saying that the latest stats in the States, 34% of professing Christians, like these are people that go to church, these are people that they say they believe in Jesus Christ. 34% of people believe that there's no racism.
Wow.
In the church. So it's not just in the church.
Wow.
With all the things that have happened in 2020.
I think because we like spiritualizing everything and we think everything is a demonic thing. Like, we are out there, and then we become so naive about like what's happening around us. So we think, oh no, sometimes yes, it's a demonic attack, but at the same time, it's a conversation that is needed to be had within the church. Because at the same time, if I sit next to you, and then you pack up your things and move and sit at the back, it shows me something. It shows me that, you don't want to sit next to me,
But on that, the Bible does say, though, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Yes.
So
no, on this one, we are wrestling against flesh.
No, I get it. I'm not saying that we're not wrestling against people, but what I'm saying is that I definitely believe that racism in itself is definitely used by the enemy to cause division.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. That's the number one agenda, is to cause disunity.
Yeah.
Right?
So, there's no unity.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Bible says in the last days, they shall be offended. There is going to be so much offense. And I feel like this is one of the tools that the enemy is using to cause offense and create division. I think we spoke a little bit about that in our last episode on like forgiveness and stuff. But I don't know, man. Like,
are you tired?
I'm also tired. Like Yolanda, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Like, it's gotten to the point where it's just so bad that I'm just like, I can't be bothered to educate anybody.
Yeah.
And I find myself now, I'm just more inclined to stay around my own people because I'm just like, it's easier. Like, I can't. I really can't. I'm tired.
It takes effort, definitely.
How can you be fighting all your life?
Trying to prove yourself.
It's actually mad.
Right.
Rurimbo says, if someone is sick, we pray and seek medical attention. Racism, we fight both spiritually and physically.
Yeah, true.
Yes, definitely. We should definitely pray about it.
It becomes a mindset.
Yes, it's a mindset. But racism is definitely taught. You know what I mean? Like, little kids don't. Like, I was yesterday I saw like this book here. It was like a Bible for kids and stuff, and it had pictures. And I was actually like, wow. I was like, oh, this is so nice. It had like kids in there, like different races, black kids, mixed race kids, the whole spectrum. And I'm like, yeah, because kids don't care. And they don't see like, oh, this is a little black boy. It's the parents that be like, no, you can't hang out with him. Yeah. Oh, like he looks dirty. This and that. Like, ooh. Like when we would be back at school and people, like the insult would be go back to your country.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I had that. What
I'm here because first of all, your ancestors took our gold, and we are here to claim back what is ours. Hi, your ancestors. Back in the palace, like you walk around and all that gold is from us, bro.
Yes,
Actually, in UK, in one of your museums, they have all the treasures from Africa. Do you know?
Yes.
I was like, why is
Give
it
us our things back. We're here to claim our things back. You took everything, our resources and everything from us. So where do you think we're gonna flourish from? We have to come and take it in your economy, bro.
Yeah.
And it's actually crazy how even they came and took like Caribbean people,
Yes.
right? Like the Windrush generation or whatever, took them. And then now that you're tired of them or whatever, you're like, oh, you people are not like British citizens. So y'all have to go back. These are people born and bred in the UK. They don't have that connection. But yet because their parents, their grandparents were here.
Yeah.
Do you think that people should black people should be paid by
Compensating. We've been compensating. We're compensating the white farmers in Zimbabwe. So y'all need to think about that. Like, or even like the Lancaster House Agreement, how it was not fulfilled. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But like, like I'm sure there are like so many things that were supposed to be done that were not done.
Yeah.
I'm not saying pay black people. No, we don't need your money actually. But
we're gonna take your economy.
But actually, if we think about it, economies would collapse, especially in the diaspora, if black people were not there. Asian people were not there. Let's talk about 2020, the coronavirus, how they splattered the white doctors, the white nurses on the front pages, but yet that is not a representation of our hospitals and our healthcare systems.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so on the newspapers, you want to show the white folk, but yet like all the Asian doctors, where are they?
Ooh.
All the black nurses, all the Asian nurses. Look at aged care. Aged care is sustained by like Asian and black people. Australia, UK, wherever.
Literally.
You know what I mean? Yolanda says, personally, I want my repatriation so I can start a business. That's a good idea. And Elijah says, yeah, but I think it's time for you to let God fight for you, because when you're in such places, no one can stand for you because you're in their space, or maybe you're even doing well than them. Yeah, it's true, but still we need to have conversations on it. So just quickly, let's wrap up. I think we have like 7 minutes left. How do we move forward with that, these types of conversations?
I like how everybody looks at me.
Yes,
How do we move forward? I think it's just educating kids from like a younger age. That way, like, race is rooted in them, like how to treat other people and stuff. I think if we deal with the kids while we're still young, and also just having those conversations as well. As much as we are tired of educating people, yet they don't seem to get it. But also, like, I feel like maybe if you got time, educate the people. If they don't listen, I don't know. Also, yeah, some things are spiritual. Let's pray about it. We keep praying. Hopefully, God will answer our prayers.
I agree with Sis Kenzie. Tell them to go to Google.
Tell them to Google. Honestly,
hey Google, tell me about the Black history. You should probably pick it up.
How do we move forward when it comes to racism? I think number one thing, like, I agree with what B said, but for me, I also feel like, particularly when it pertains to Black people, I feel like until we actually start taking positions of economic power, because that means we're coming to a negotiating table and demanding that, listen to us, but they're like, well, what are you contributing to our economy? They don't care. at the end of the day, that's the honest truth. They really don't care. And we see that with the Chinese people, right? All the universities shut down. Most universities went into a panic, and they love the Chinese. Why? Because economically, they drive the economy.
They hold the Australian economy together.
So the Chinese people can come and be like, okay, well, we're going to withdraw our... And you know what happened? Oh, the university went into chaos.
Exactly, especially when the prime minister was like, international students go home.
And the Chinese government was like, oh.
So this is how you do that.
Exactly.
And now the universities are crying because they're like, we need the Chinese students.
Exactly.
And so I feel like even as Black people, like we need to start taking positions of power.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm very passionate about, even when Black people come into this country or any other country where you're a minority, that don't settle. Like drive and push for economic power.
Yeah.
Because that's when I feel like we can then come to the negotiating
and
table.
Financial freedom.
And financial freedom, generational wealth and generational legacy. Because right now, all we have, I feel like, we're crying, we want to be heard, but they're not hearing us right now. So,
Yolanda says we continue to rebuke the spirit of racism and continue to fight and let them know that Black Lives Matter. That's true, y'all. That's true. That's true. I don't. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what the way forward is, because people are ignorant. I feel like they will continue to be. I definitely agree. Maybe prayer is a strategy, but I think that we need to be more practical about it. I love that right now there's this thing about supporting Black-owned businesses. I think that, we definitely have to regain power and authority. We cannot begin to change things from the outside. We have to have access, and we have to be sitting in those rooms where decisions are made, and there has to be many of us. And more of us need to be, professors, need to be doctors, need to be politicians, lawyers, so that we can then create access for other people. Nobody else is going to advocate for us. I remember having a friend who came from Zimbabwe and, to Australia, and they had never recruited anyone from Zimbabwe, but he worked so hard that they were like, do you know any other people from Zimbabwe that we can bring? And that opened up opportunities for others in Zimbabwe to then come to Australia. But it's bad that we always have to be an advocate. Every time we're around somewhere, we're representing the whole race. So it's hard, but we must continue to soldier on, and hopefully one day maybe our kids will be the generation that never experiences racism. Maybe their kids or their grandchildren, but we must begin to plant seeds now for the future. So do we have anything else to add?
What about then when now it's within like the community where we are
black on black,
because
it
happens where, like, it could be from you're from a group that is like, in your country. Like for us, we have groups that are seen as like majority groups and stuff.
But I think that's more tribalism. That's a whole different topic.
But this conversation is definitely going to continue, because our next episode is actually gonna be like a continuation. Like one of our next episodes is actually gonna touch on race. So that's gonna be quite interesting. I wonder what kind of direction we'll take it in. But first of all, we want to thank Yolanda for coming onto the program. Thank you, sis, for sharing and giving like a different perspective, especially to our like viewers and listeners that are like in Australia, or like even like some, like we have like a lot of people in like Africa and stuff. So giving them like that fresh insight. And I guess we want to thank ourselves for coming. Thank you for coming and for being here to represent the people. You know what I mean? Thanks, guys. We'll definitely invite you on for more. But I think we are out of time. Yes, for now. But definitely catch us on our next episode. And I think we should do like one of those poll things and like get people's opinions in the next couple of days before we actually record our episode. I think it would be good to just get like some of your stories and some of your experiences, and we can then put them in the episode. And you know, it might be a way to educate people. You never know. There might be some white people on there, Asian people on there. I don't know, like all types of people on there listening, and they might actually have like a fresh perspective. If you are from the Asian community, or even if you are from the white community too, like send in your opinions and stuff like that. Have you experienced racism? If so, how did you deal with it, and how did the experience make you feel? And what can be done really to make our world a better place and get rid of racism. So I think we will end it here.
Yeah.
Yay. So until next time.
Ciao.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.